There's my audience.
Hello.
Hello. Amazing. Am I good?
Good.
Think back on your childhood. I know for me it was full of repeatedly watching movies that I loved. And I grew up watching some of the greats. Aladdin, Flubber, Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji, the original, which is one of my favorites, and so many more. We borrowed them frequently from the library, and I'm sure my mom was sick of hearing them in the background. As I'm sure you've noticed, Robin Williams starred or had a big role in those movies, and allowed my brother and I a constant source of laughter and made for exciting movie nights. I know the saying might be cliche and perhaps overused, but Robin Williams was an inspiration to millions, and I'm certainly one of them. One of the first times I cried over a celebrity death was over the announcement of his tragic suicide. But today I'm going to be talking about 3 ways that Robin Williams is inspirational to me. 1, his talent is legendary and stands the test of time. 2, his kindness will be forever remembered. And 3, although he faced darkness and unfortunately succumbed to it, we can still look at his life and see and feel joy that he so desperately wanted to give the world. My first point is Robin's gift of acting and comedy. In an article from Newsmakers, updated August 2014, titled Robin Williams, anonymous authors talk about Williams' beginnings. He started his acting journey at the Juilliard School in 1973 and, quote, debuted, end quote, at the Comedy Store in LA in California. His stand-up really opened up opportunities for him in TV, such as one of maybe his most famous roles, Mork, on Happy Days, which turned into its own show, Mork and Mindy, which led to tons of other TV and movies. His talent stands the test of time. Williams is credited to over 100 roles. This fact came from the All-Movie webpage titled Robin Williams Filmography, and there was no date or author available. His roles brought us laughter, moved us, and just as much as they did the day they came out. His work is known by millions, and I think we can all agree that we appreciate his art of acting. Point 2, Williams' kindness will be forever remembered. Now, Williams was not perfect. He had family struggles just like many of us have experienced. His included an affair and multiple divorces. Authors Dennis et al. Discuss in a 2014 People magazine titled 1951 to 2014, Robin Williams, that through this, Williams was still very kind to his children and loved them to the best of his ability. In the fascinating documentary, Robin Williams, Come Inside My Mind, released in 2018, director Marina Zinovich highlights how he cared for his family, but also how much he cared for audiences. He truly loved performing and bringing people joy. One great example was a military comedy tour he did with some other comedians and just his general support for our troops. Zinovich also has statements from friends and family saying, quote, he never knew how to slow down, end quote. Now, that does have cons of its own, but we're not going to talk about that today. That leads me to my third point. Robin Williams gave joy through his life and even after his death. As I mentioned earlier, he had hardships. He went through divorces. Dennis et al. Goes on to explain his drug and alcohol abuse that he suffered. Zinovich talks about his heart surgery and how that affected his comedy routines. And not to mention, he suffered from depression and other illnesses. Today, we do know how his story ended, unfortunately. Yet, we can look at the amazing things he did in his life and all the accomplishments he achieved and through his work. And it still brings us joy and the wondrous entertainment that he really wanted to share. Robin Williams, while he was not perfect, showed that even though you might struggle, and you will, you can still do things that you love and bring joy to those around you. As my speech comes to a close, think about how Robin Williams has impacted your life. Did you grow up laughing at the blue animated genie in Disney's Aladdin? Or were you moved by one of his more dramatic roles, such as in Dead Poets Society or Good Will Hunting? Either way, many of us would agree that Robin Williams was talented, kind, and is still spreading joy even after his death. I hope that by looking at his life and his work, you too can be inspired to do what you love, even through moments of darkness. Robin said in Good Will Hunting, quote, "You will have bad times, but they will always wake you up to the stuff you weren't paying attention to," end quote. Pay attention to the good things in your life right now, and do what you love. Thank you.
Nice.